Okay, we're in Ludlow Memorial Park. This park was made in the year 1910. And we're going to today show you where the list of the men that died during wars conducted by the United States were the men enlisted from Ludlow. And that's this beautiful granite structure in front of us. It has to both sides large wings, and on there are men from World War II that gave their life for the country. And at the bottom of each one of them, and in the bottom of the middle piece, is 3 men's name, 4 men's name, 5 men's name, who died during the course of the Korean War itself. Now, dedication was in May 30th, 1966 of this granite memorial. And since that date, a man from Vietnam War from Ludlow died, and his name is in the middle. And then a man that was in Afghanistan and died due to that war is in the middle. So those were added afterwards. It's a beautiful memorial plaza, park, and granite structure. Now what has been added since are large granite pieces with copper plaques on them that have the men's names of anyone that was from Ludlow that fought during the course of any war that Ludlow was associated with, including the American Revolutionary War at far left, and then it goes into the Spanish-American War, the War of 1812, the Civil War, the Mexican War, the World War I, World War II, and then on the other side it continues with a lot more World War II names, of course, and then the Korean War. Now on the back of each of them you have more wars, the Vietnam War and the Afghanistan War, and then the war in Kuwait, and then in Iraq. And so the back also have big plaques in the back. Now, on the Memorial Plaza, I'm pretty sure no one from Ludlow died during the course of the American Revolutionary War. And the same with those smaller wars. But during the course of the Civil War and World War I, I'm positive men died from Ludlow for that war. And where are those names? Well, if you go to the Ludlow Center Historic District, there is a Civil War statue and plaque, and there you'll find the names of all the men that died during the course of the Civil War. So that they are honored in Ludlow, but in another location from this one. All right, and that one's next to a church and a cemetery and a former meeting house, so forth. Now, where are the men from World War I? I'm pretty sure that their names for the men that died during the course of World War I are inside of the building to our right of this park, and that's the Stevens Memorial Hall. There probably is a plaque inside there. Very often, World War I is honored by building a memorial hall and then putting the names inside. Okay, so those are the other 2 locations from this park. Now, what do you see around this park? You see Stevens Memorial Hall in 1906. You also see the former Ludlow High School, and that's right in front of us now. That was made in 1910. It was with an architect whose name was George Alderman, who was from Holyoke, who probably did about 200 or 300 buildings in the lower Connecticut River Valley in Massachusetts. And this is one of them. Okay, we also see from this position through the gap in the trees, the Hubbard Library. And we also see from this location at this busy time of day, the Potts Bridge, which brings you over the river into Indian Orchard. Okay, now very importantly, it seems trivial, but across the street there's a Walgreens and there's a plaza with other stores inside of it. Okay, in this plaza, if you would come out here 100 years ago, starting around the 1890s, there would have been put into place 2 mills. Those were mills 5 and 6 of the Ludlow Manufacturing Company. And they had giant mills, and they had their own separate canal. So there were 2 power canals in Ludlow. The first one generated power for the mills 3 and 4. The smaller one had its own dam, and it generated power for the mills number 5 and 6. So there was 2 power mills and 2 dams, and there was one whole company, the Ludlow Manufacturing Company, that had 11 of its own mills. Okay, and several of them were right on the power itself. Now, the last thing to point out is mill number 8, if we keep cycling around, is now undergoing reconstruction, and so its tower and clock have scaffolding around it. But that building is probably the most famous building in Ludlow. It's Ludlow Manufacturing Company's mill number 8. To the right of it is now a Ludlow River walkway, and hopefully I can give a tour here someday where I can point out where the 2 canals are, and then the front of those other mills that use hydroelectric energy, not hydromechanical, from 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then I won't go down the walkway. Most people think the walkway might have been where the canal was. It's not. And so what we're going to do to finish off here is a 360 panoramic. All right, so thank you for coming to this Memorial Plaza.